Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
How is everything?
Good. Yeah, quiet. The rain is gone.
Good. Is it a sunny day?
Yeah, we wake up and it was very sunny. No more rain. It's like calm.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it. We'll let people join for a minute. Welcome to everyone who is joining us today. Johanna, introduce yourself, and for those who are joining, most know where you are, but tell us where you are in the world.
Okay. So I'm Johanna Van Parijs. I'm from Belgium. I came here almost like 18, 19 years ago. I don't count anymore. And I'm here in Santa Teresa, which is in Costa Rica in the peninsula, Nicoya. Yeah, I moved here very young, 24 years old. And I finished my University of Art, and I was like, okay, I need to get away from Belgium, and I wanted to live my life not in Europe. So I decided to really move back to here. And then I went back and forth, and I built up my life.
So I want to say hi to everyone joining. We're just going to wait a couple minutes while other people join us. We'll probably have some people from Los Angeles and hopefully Costa Rica and possibly Belgium. We'll see.
Yes, I see already.
Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. And Johanna is going to lead us on a tour of her studio, and feel free if you see something that sparks your interest, that you have a question about. We'll be watching the feed and we can answer questions as we go. And I wanted to let you know how we met. I'm in Los Angeles right now, and I met Johanna in March of Hi Allegra. In March of 2023 in Punta Islita. Allegra Pacheco actually introduced us, and she had told me about Johanna's work before we met. There was an art festival in Punta Islita called Pi Art Festival, and it's an annual festival to bring art and culture to a small part of the coast there. And Johanna arrived, and she had this massive piece of art. It was a sculpture made out of wood, but it wasn't something that you put on the wall. It was something you could walk around, and it was placed in the exhibition space by hanging from the ceiling and the floor. And so it was quite a showpiece. It was definitely the most impressive work of art in this exhibition space. Oh, hi to everyone's joining. I see some friends from LA. Welcome. We're just getting started with a little introduction. And so I was immediately just struck by the scale of how large Johanna is able to work there in her workshop in Costa Rica. And also that she's using geometry not as something sculpturally that you just look at from a distance, but something that your whole body can walk around and experience. So that was my meeting of Johanna, and I've been following your work ever since and really impressed with how it is evolving. And this session that we're doing here is my attempt to bring people I know and people I have never met closer into the studios of working artists that they may not get to visit personally. I think it's really inspiring to see exactly where an artist works, especially you, Johanna. And what I'm hoping is that anyone who needs a little inspiration can see what Johanna has really built by herself. And I hope if there's anyone that has any challenges that is keeping them away from creating a studio environment for themselves and really taking a chance with their work, they will be inspired by her and her story to take a leap and focus on their work. So that's enough from me. I'd really like to hear from Johanna and maybe start by getting a view of what your workshop and currently looks like, and what the view from inside outside looks like, and just a sense of the space. And you can walk us through.
Okay, I'm gonna start walk you around first. From here you see the whole space.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved in here, there was nothing. I just built some walls and made also some a house in it and a kitchen, and everything is in it, but very, very simple. I'm going to switch over. So here you see all the machines I'm working with. Here I put some art already, you can see. Here is like a combination of my art with the wood and the prints I do. It's like a wood transfer.
Give
Then
us, before we go to the work, Johanna,
yeah.
just give a really broad view of the space so we
Okay.
can see how big it is, how much space you're occupying there.
Okay.
It is quite large, which is obviously necessary for the scale of your work and allows you to make big work. But I also want people in LA to see that gorgeous view. A lot of artists here have to have studios in downtown LA. It's a very urban environment. And so having that greenery and that big open doorway is amazing.
Yeah. So this is basically all jungle in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also located, when you go outside, in the front of it, there's the beach, an amazing beach.
Which we will visit later on.
Yeah, I will walk there on the end. And here you see outside where I storage all the woods.
And how long have you been in this exact space?
I've been here, I think it's almost like 4 years.
Okay.
And it's also build it up. First, I had like the walls and I had no machines, and I had to always invest little by little. I was selling and investing in more machinery and more help. So everything was like, every year I became a bit more professional and I could make my pieces more stunning.
And we're talking how many were you building up from scratch?
With how many
years have you been building this up from?
So I've been starting, I think it's now already 4 years that I have the workshop, that I built up from zero. And before, I was working from my house. I would have all the tools in my house, but that was more for them. Yeah, I was limited. And then I had to make a next step. And it was like a big decision, because it's like a big step for myself to rent a place and put my money right away in what I make and invest in myself constantly. And so I'm renting this space, and there was nothing. There was just one little concrete, like how you say, like the size of a kitchen. And then I made a whole extension just with like ceiling panels.
Okay, and did you design the space yourself, or did you have help designing the space?
No, I was actually, was very spontaneous. I said, what I need, and I had workers where I built other houses for. So I said, can you build me a roof? And then I just had some money to build the roof. And then I had some other projects. Can you build me the walls? And like this, I was just more and more building up. And now
it's really a piece, step by step.
Yeah, it was really step by step.
And just so people know, you are not an architect and you're not a builder, but you studied fine art in Belgium.
I studied three-dimensional art in St. Lucas in Belgium. It's more like, it's basically was more ceramics, but it's more 3 dimensions, so I could also be very experimental, which I experiment a lot with video and more installations. For me, I was struggling a bit with the ceramics at that time. It made me blocked a lot because of the process is way longer, and I was already ahead with my ideas. So for me, I was a bit struggling. So I was more drawing and making installations and videos, and then I did a master in videos.
Okay, and so what we're about to see is the recent iteration of your work, which is in wood, but you've also been a painter and you've also worked as a healer. And I want to bring that up at the beginning because Johanna used to do a lot of healing work, energy work, and now she focuses her time on making art. And I would say your art is your healing work,
Yeah,
right?
it's actually just switch it over from a person to wood or
Okay.
to my canvas,
Now
basically.
working on
So
wood.
yeah, I have been working for 10 years full on, practicing massages, more like healing. It was developing more and more into healings. I worked with crystals, where I was introduced to in Belgium by my healer, Hilde. She was like introducing me to the healing. I did courses with her. I would go back and forth. I would always have like questions, and she was like she was a part of my process. And so that gives me a lot of stability here, because I always wanted to be an artist and I wanted to live from my art. But it was like, how you do that? I cannot give up and just live for selling. Like, and to make something and sell, and then I can live. And it didn't give me like a stability. So I said I will paint and draw. I'm not going to do any crazy ceramics or build ovens. So so I was practicing a lot, like 10 years, 5 people a day, and I was growing a lot. I was also grounding in the space, understanding like Costa Rica, talking with the locals, getting like really integrated. And then the last 2 years, I felt like I hit like a wall, like, I want to do more for the, like, I want to heal, but I want to like connect more than just one-to-one person. I want to like be more like, you have like an impression of a space, how I
Okay.
can change a space and like this, because you become very limited and tired. And yeah, I felt like I also hadn't got enough time to do my art, because I got very more tired and exhausted. So that was the time that I said, okay, I need to give up to be able to open a new world. And that I did like the big decision 2 years ago when I met you at the art festival. That was like, I probably gave the last healing a week before. And I was exhausted because I couldn't focus all the way, because I was
Mhm.
still combining everything. And there, that was like the finish and the beginning.
I think now would be a great time to look at some of the wood pieces so everyone knows what we're talking about, and see where Johanna has put her energy. It's this is one of her early pieces that I saw that I was really struck by. Uh, and at the time, I noticed she was using mostly straight lines, cut triangles and squares and rectangles. And we see a shift in her work that has happened since I saw this piece. And it's called Labyrinth. And maybe, Johanna, you could tell us a little bit about this piece and the origins of it.
Yeah, this is one of my foundational pieces. It's one of the first ones when I started to make wood panels. This is now my second one of the series. I made that one because I really wanted to put intention in my art. Like, I started with the labyrinth because I believe in manifestation, and I believed like I had to let go all of my beliefs that would make me stuck in the ability of creating and manifesting. So a labyrinth is shows that a lot. Like, if you people walk labyrinths, they let go of their patterns. And so I thought, when I'm making that piece, it will also help me break through myself to be able to do my thing and do like just basically live from my art. But I was still healing at that time. So, and I made like 4 series. There was a labyrinth, a flow piece, and abundance. And the cosmic release, where I met you, that I also exposed in P Art Festival.
Yeah, it's a great piece. Can we get up close so we can see the depth? From a distance, these look like very flat graphic pieces, but Johanna's work has a lot of depth and volume. And when light hits the piece, ways it's beautiful shadows, more depth. And I love the use of black and white. What can you talk a little bit about what woods you're using and how you were introduced to wood, and maybe show us some of the other pieces
Yeah.
and about some of your favorite woods to work with?
Yes, so this piece has a lot Guanacaste wood, which is a local wood, and cedar. I use the dark wood for the dark parts a lot, and then the lighter woods go more Melina and Pinot, which is a light wood, like you don't have so much stains. Also, that piece I decided to make it different from the first one, so they are all still unique. And this one I burned. You
Okay.
can see the burning technique on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time I did it. The first time it was hard to understand how you seal it, but now it's like sealed and it's not staining anymore.
So so the burning gives the wood a texture. Does it also give it the black color, or does that come from
Yes.
something else?
So basically, the wood is raw, and when I
Okay.
started burning, it was like the whole labyrinth was on fire. And then that's how you go little by little. You follow the labyrinth, basically burning.
Okay. Amazing.
Dries, and then you put like a varnish or a sealer.
I would love to see photographs of it on fire.
Yeah. So this is like the second variation of the labyrinths,
Okay.
way higher. Here you see again, this one is not burnt. You see, I still play with the natural woods, the black
Beautiful.
and white.
Yeah, I love seeing the grain. Can you go back up to those small black chunks? That beautiful grain that you can see through the stain to the left a little bit. Oh yeah. I love seeing the wood grain. It's really
Yeah.
it's
So yeah, later in the conversation I will show you all my stains and when I use natural wood also.
And can you tell us how large this piece is?
This piece is 2 meters 70 by 90.
Okay. Okay.
So then I have my mixed media paintings, which are also on the bottom. I also use the wood pieces, and then I
Okay.
put layering of the paper, and I painted with oil on it.
If you could stand back a little bit so we can get a full view of that. Hi to everyone who is joining, friends and new friends. Welcome. We are just getting a little studio tour right now. Okay, so the bottom is a collage of wood, of different woods.
Yes, and I paint them like a chalkboard, and then I glue them, and then I have one big piece, and on top of that I use my transparent papers and patterns. Then I let it dry, and I paint with oil paint on top of it.
And can we get a little closer so we can see some of the imagery?
So you see it's pattern paper, so I love it that it's transparent and you can still see some lines and images.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly in the blue, which is my favorite. And then I layer it, and then on top of it I paint with the crystal on oil.
Okay, so that's an image of a crystal on top. And can we see the wood at the bottom a little closer?
So you see I painted it, I stain it, and I keep some natural.
Beautiful.
Even I use some golds, but not all of them, but just the idea of gold. I just like the presence of the gold in it.
And the painting of crystals, how long have you been doing that? And I'm sure it relates to your healing practice,
Yes.
right?
So I when also in the PR, that's 2 years ago now, or is it 2 years ago? I painted one crystal the first time at that time, and that was also for me also a support with my art. I felt like I don't want to just use my old paintings and start over from that. I just wanted to have it like aligned next to it, and so it was also like guiding me. I just wanna, oh, there's tourists coming by with the quads. So I started that 2 years ago because I was practicing a lot with these crystals, andaras. So I decided to paint them and get like the transparency and the glassiness of it and the fragility of it next to my pieces. It somehow made sense.
Yeah, beautiful. I love the combination of the wood and the painting. Can
So
we see, I think you have another piece. Oh, great. Okay.
So this one I'm not ready yet. So I also have what people know and follow my work. I do pictures, black and white transfers on wood. That's
Okay.
a technique I like do for many years. So this is a shot of the jungle of my old house,
Okay.
and it's put on layers so you can see through it. The idea is when you do a wood transfer or any transfer, everything that is underneath becomes transparent.
Okay.
And if it's wood or texture or yeah, it's just you see everything behind, which makes it very nice, and you can feel the texture somehow.
It's beautiful. So is this a photograph you took of the space around your home
Yeah,
in Santa Teresa?
yeah, that was the space around my house um, in Manzanillo. That was the house where I lived before. Now I just moved out, but I took amazing. There was amazing jungle there and very nice old palm trees, very indigenous.
It's gorgeous. I love seeing palm trees in black and white. And
Yeah.
what is the text to the right of it?
So there's this actually. It's old patterns I saved from my grandma because we all have tailors in my family.
Wow.
So I was taking them many years ago when I just moved here. I said, yeah, I'm going to make every day something new to wear. And I wanted to experiment with that. And then I said, like, oh no, I think I'm just going to use the papers.
Wow.
So I saved all her
Oh, wow.
papers. And it's all Burda patterns. And because I love it because this is transparent, it just layers up. And even if you put the print, you still see the patterns and the wood behind. So it's endless patterns.
So this is a kind of a biographical piece because you have something from your family history and you have an image from this place that you moved to and established a home in.
Yeah.
Um, and then do you also have woodwork at the bottom, or is that paint when we see the
So
chipboard?
this is woodwork. I just painted each piece and then I glue it on it.
It's fabulous.
And then I always play with nice framing. I always like to add some details. And this piece is actually not ready. I'm still gonna paint this crystal on top of it. So that's the last. So this is the crystals I will still paint. I just took it with me to see the process. So that's the end on top of it. I painted.
Okay, so you'll be painting, and do you use oil paint on, can you use oil paint on the surface, or do you use acrylic?
I use oil paint because also I love it. It's also transparent. It takes time to dry. I can still take away and I layer it. And it makes it more, I also can put more the glassy on it from the crystals. So, and I always love painting with oils.
Hi to everyone who's joining us. Welcome. Hi, Katrin. And this is a great piece. I love that you started doing cut. Did you begin by sculpting like full opaque pieces, and then you had a realization that you could create cutouts, or how did that happen?
Yes. So this piece is differently, but I started actually drawing the transparent. I first make my drawings, and from this I make it in big patterns. This piece is not as complicated, so I could just have like more the dimensions, and each cutout I make just one of each.
Okay.
But there is another piece where I'm going to show you where I really have to do more, like using the cutouts and the patterns.
And
This,
would this be something like an architectural element in a home as to like a work of art that you hang on a wall?
yes, exactly. This one is a more like a divider wall in between spaces.
Okay.
And like sun and light wood, you have like the shade on it, and yeah, if you, it's for me. This I started doing last year, and it also grew in other shapes, and it opened a whole new door. And I just had now a commission piece to make, so I'm happy that we have it here for us. This is how I build it up. I first create the frames, and then I add all the pieces one by one.
Let's start with showing everyone how you begin the process. Like, I know you're working on a commission right now. Johanna's business has grown a lot, and she is frequently working on big commissions for architectural homes there in Costa Rica primarily, but also ships her work internationally. But specifically, she's doing site-specific architectural interventions, meaning huge wall panels sometimes for homes there locally, and they all start with drawings, which I would love to talk about and see.
Yes. So I'm gonna show you here how I start the process. So most work together, like you say, it's like the architects have an idea, and I see their houses, I see the plans, and they want like a stunning piece. And then we start to brainstorm. I also want to know what kind of shapes, more organic, more geometric forms. I want to know how three-dimensional it has to be. If they want it flat, because sometimes there's a staircase or things behind, doors need to open. So on that piece, and the house is called Casa Copal. I've been working on that for 1 year. It's been very interesting. I also had to create three-dimensional mirrors, and I could add some other interior objects, which was also nice because everything was like connecting with each other. I'm going to show you the first drawings and how I build up until the last drawing, until the piece is ready.
Great. And I want to say hello to Stephen Wozniak, who is a great writer friend from New York. Welcome, and welcome to everyone else who's joining us. We are just about to look at some conceptual drawings of a massive commission that Johanna has been working on for about a year. And the interesting thing to me about her work is that she has work that you can purchase and put on a wall, but now she's really becoming involved in the lives of her patrons and really designing spaces, artful spaces that she builds from this stage up until it gets installed in their home. So walk us through some of these plans.
Yeah, so this is actually on scale drawings, so that I already know exactly how many panels I can divide it in and how it will look like the size of each circle, because when it's way bigger, you can higher up the scale, so make bigger circles, otherwise it becomes very messy. So this is the first drawing. Here you see, actually here there was a door, there was another door, so all the doors are hidden behind the panels. And here I more experiment with what about the colors. So this is the first stage I do. I just start to make 100 drawings. And this is like more the ones, or more closer to the ones I really used.
So just so everyone knows, when she says plans, what she's talking about is that this is going to be or has become a huge wooden sculptural panel that spans walls within a home. So the scale is quite impressive. I noticed in this that you started using a lot of curved lines.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit, when you started using curves and why you chose these?
Yeah. So, yeah, also this curved lines has been also influenced by my art after. So in this building, it was like an old Mexican, like very brutalism building.
Okay.
They had like a huge staircase, and it was like a whole around, not really like like a very organic shape, go and a hole in the ceiling, and it was all in concrete. So I thought like I want to use these curves from the staircase through my really like more other shapes. And that was the first change in my art, because my art was way more more triangles and hexagonals, and then it really became also way more complex.
Yes.
And the drawings, that's all simple. I just go very free. So this is each panel. You can see when I go more in details. I also already experiment a bit with the colors.
So each of these drawings represents one vertical panel that was joined in the space itself?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And
That's why I number them all, just to make sure if I have to make another division, I can cut them right.
okay.
Then when I make these drawings, it was a little bit complex, like I said, with all the curves. So I had to make like an AutoCAD drawing from it, which is like a 3D drawing you can print out on real scale.
Okay.
So this is one of the AutoCAD drawings, but this I did in color to really have an idea for the client, because they really have to know like a good idea of the colors and the shapes. And well, here you can see in the drawing, there's a door and another door. So everything when it's closed is all hidden.
I see. So you're actually applying this panel to the surface of doors.
Yeah.
So when they're doors,
And
it looks like.
yeah. But also it's not only the pieces really come out a lot. So there can be pieces that come out 10 centimeters, but then I cannot do it where the doors opens. And here was the staircase. So everything has to be planned ahead.
Can you slowly pan across that design so people can see the complexity of what you're actually putting together and
I'm gonna do it.
how many layers and shapes there are? I think it's so impressive that you took this from a simple piece of graph paper, you know, through a couple of stages and then get to this point. But this is actually before you've even drawn the actual size and cut anything.
Yeah.
That kind
Like all before. And then I even have to make all the plans, because when you cut, you lose millimeters and centimeters and everything moves. So everything has to be like written down with centimeters of each panel. So yeah, it's been like a long year process, but then I eventually I worked on it 2 months like in total, because I couldn't work on it before, because otherwise it's too humid and all the panels will start to get older. So I had to do everything in one shot. So I had like 2 months to deliver everything.
And do you know how many pieces total were involved in this?
There were 11 panels. Let's say when you have like this panel, but they double size 11 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you show us the next steps in the process?
Yes. So I'm going to show you with another commission piece I have to deliver this week, basically. And that got very delayed by the weather. So they were probably watching, and I'm showing the process. This is also a piece with a hidden door. I'm going to show you the drawing of it. So this is a fixed panel, and I will see. This is a fixed panel, and this is the door, and here you see a door handle, and here is like a little piece on top.
Okay.
So
and when you were working with the client to come up with this design, are you taking who they are and what their lifestyle is into consideration, or are you kind of just providing them with something you think will put beauty in their life or create a certain type of energy in the space?
Yeah, so with it always depends on the clients. So for example, with this big piece I just showed you all the drawings for, they really wanted to connect with me, and I wanted also me to connect with extra crystals and the energy, like what crystals to use. So I also gave them, that was the time that I still was connecting with them, I gave them some healings, because that was like still 2 years ago that I just met them. So it was a process. I wanted to understand like what was their lifestyle and how they felt and what they needed. But not all the projects go so deep. It depends. It can be more me, because I really want to make a drawing that makes sense and that aligns with me on the moment. Or I really connect with the people, or sometimes they ask me, can you create a piece that is really reflects my life or me, or what I can that I can be reminded on how strong I am, or can make me stronger, or support the house, like like a foundation piece or a grounding piece, or something that makes the space more light. So this piece that making now, it was more, they showed me more. I had a meeting with the client and was more the designer. I didn't meet the client. She was explaining me, showed me around at the house, and they really let me do my thing, basically.
Okay.
I understood that it could be very organic, and they didn't want to use colors, which is from me nice. I can just play with all type of woods, colors, stains. So I use one stain and all different type of woods. And yeah, that process went really fast, basically, but I was also already using a lot of organic shapes.
Johanna, I can't see your eyes.
Oh,
Come down a little. Thank
sorry.
you. Craig Krull asked a question, which I was wondering as well. He said, I like the small scale of the preparatory drawings. Have you considered any of those as finished artworks?
Yes. So sometimes I get very attached on it, and I keep them for myself. But also when I show the result and I finish an art piece, the people ask me, "Oh, what about the drawings? We would like to have them framed." It's such a nice process, and then it's of course a piece of art that I frame.
Stephen Wozniak said, or even prints. We'll get there, Stephen. We'll make
Yeah.
prints. But I think I noticed an Instagram video of you actually hand painting those preparatory
Yeah.
drawings, which was amazing to me because I feel like most people would just use a colored pencil or maybe a marker. But do you hand paint all of
Yeah.
those preparatory?
So first I draw them, and then I really want to. Yeah, I believe in the process of being in every part of the process. Even my drawing, I want to put all my intention, and if I paint them, I even put more energy into it, which I believe it becomes more loaded of my energy, or or in general. So for me, it's important to have the process of the drawing, the painting, and then, because then later I have to do also computer work to it, which for me I less connect, but it's still as important. And then on the end I have to sand, and I help with some sanding, and the painting, the pieces on the end I also do, which is all for me as important.
Yeah, I want to talk about the physicality of what you're doing now because when we chatted in the past, you talked about how getting into physical activity of working with wood at this scale shifted things for you as an artist. And I think it would be, this is a really fun part of the tour because I'd like to look at the actual chunks of wood and the cuts and the pieces that you have laid out for your commission and maybe talk about how those get made and how they come together.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch the camera so you can also so for me, first in the beginning when I made my first pieces, I was like I said, it was an exchange of a body. So I would put my whole body, my whole energy, and was sanding from the beginning to the end. But I was very exhausted, and I also got very behind on the commissions I had. So I couldn't follow up, and it became very physical, stressful, and also for my body itself. So these drawings helped me a lot with making things less complicated, but also I could have people helping me making cutouts. The whole process became way faster, so I could put more intention in my drawings. And then I had my team in the workshop helping already with the process of making the patterns on the wood, to have the right scale. And then so basically I print this small prints in real scale. We make like sometimes we glue them on the pieces itself, or sometimes we have to make cutters, which is here. I will tell you after.
Okay.
For this piece, it was like more a fast process because it wasn't like it's 2 panels only. So I could just glue the whole real scale pattern, and I afterwards I cut out all the pieces. For example, the pieces are quite big and heavy.
What kind of wood?
So this one is made mostly out of Melina. There will some be pechote, which is a little bit darker,
Okay.
because then I play a bit with the lighter piece and the dark and the change of the wood. And then I put one big stain, so everything looks like more or less the same, but you can play with the darkness, like here, of a different wood type. But it's not a big of a change. This Melina doesn't have so many grains and patterns, so you can see a lot more of the pattern of the shapes.
Beautiful.
So here you see like all the shapes, like you see it's 2 panels, one here, one there, and it starts to get shaped little by little. And then you see it here also. So I can show you here the papers that are more the real scale ones. They look very bad on the end, but here you see, this is like what you use for architecture plans, basically.
Got it. Okay.
Has like a name and a number. So this is like a very cheap plywood.
Okay.
This is when I have to use more like patterns, like when you make clothes.
It's so beautiful that you are using patterns in a new way, and your grandmother or your family had seamstresses using patterns in your family history. I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, because when you see here all the numbers and all the lining, it's basically exactly the same when you follow a pattern.
It's a beautiful part of your lineage, or carrying forth of a lineage. Allegra, wow, I know we made this beautiful connection right now.
Yeah, we did it right now, exactly. It's just right.
I know, in the moment. Yeah, it's a thing. Show us. I love to see those patterns. Can you show us a little more of the pieces?
So here,
Save those.
I'm going to show you in the drawing. I'm going to look for the right drawing here. 1 second. So I have the pattern there. Yes. Okay. So you see already from my very first drawing, I have this circle, and this is the circle here.
Okay. So then you use that, or the people who help you in your studio, who have become really an integral part of your process, are they the ones that are then cutting the pieces for you from this big architectural pattern?
Yes, exactly. So I'm here from the beginning with them. I lay out all the plans. We go over the drawings and the plans to make sure it's all the lines are right, and then it's actually numbering all the boots and the patterns, and then we put the table ready, and then we re-put them all again with the small piece of paper of my drawings. Based on the numbers, we put back the pattern, but then you still need a base. So it's like all the pieces go back and forth everywhere because they need to sand, and they need a layer of paint, and then it's a matter of like not losing not one. So every panel goes in a box, we save them, we go to the next panel. Yeah, it's like a whole puzzle process.
Maybe give us a quick tour of some of the other pieces on the table, and also some of the workstations where things happen.
Yes.
Madre Tierra, someone from Madre Tierra Retreats said, amazing, I would love to connect. We'll definitely send her a DM after this, please.
So this is my workstation where I actually put the big pattern and the pieces that are cut out. Here is mostly a station where I would put the cutters, like more all the cutouts, the papers, or the cutouts in plywood.
Okay.
Because on that table, and I put like a little example, this, let's say this is a cutout.
Okay.
I put it on a piece of wood. They like screw it in, and then this is like the grainer, like it's a machine that cuts right all around the piece.
So the cut are an intermediary step between the paper
Yeah,
and the final cut piece of wood
yeah.
that gives, it's like a guide basically.
Yeah, it's a guide, but also sometimes I skip the process and I glue it on the piece of wood itself because we really need that line. And you can do it 2 times, so then I really have to come to the other machine.
Okay.
And that's this one, the bandsaw. And this makes all kind of complicated shapes like this, like you see within the number of the shape is here. So that's the bandsaw. And if I have this kind of circles, this is a machine that makes 3 type of circles.
Oh, cool.
Like those ones. And you see the circles in here and here. So every machine, and then we are on this table. This is also to make, sometimes I play with, this wood piece is plain, but I also make it like round, and then I play with the combination. So this machine makes it round.
Okay, gives it like a bevel.
Yes, exactly. This is another pattern. And then I use them because I find them so interesting. This for me is like another piece of art I can play with.
Yeah.
So I reuse then, for example, my tables, they've been sprayed on, and then I use the patterns where I spray the tables to put my wood prints on it. So everything is usable.
That's great. So, yeah, in addition to doing these big wall commissions, Johanna also creates home furnishing fixtures. I hesitate to call them furnishings because they seem more like livable art, but they're more functional art, like things like mirrors and end tables and for everything you can imagine that can fill a home and be functional. She also produces in her studio, which is why she's extremely busy.
Yeah, I make like, it's just an extension. Like the art inspires my designs, and the designs is an inspiration for a new art piece. So they all connect with each other. So this is, for example, became my mirrors that are wobbly, call it the wobbly, but that was a part of my big wall installation. So, and then I have these side tables, which I play a lot with the stains and the natural wood colors. Then I have them in many colors.
Can we look at the stains that you have and that you use frequently and talk a little bit about those?
So I recently like also a lot using very natural art pieces also, but then I have to play with different type of woods. And I find a stain that I actually had to make myself with making 10 stains, and then I find the one that really works for me, which is, for example, this one. Thick wood has a lot of these grains and drawings, which I don't always like because it can very disturb my drawing. But it's a very, very good wood, and also because it has a very beautiful color. So then when I put the stain, it somehow erases the lines a little bit, and it still stays natural.
Okay.
And here you can see that's another wood type with the same stain. It just changed a whole different vibe.
But that's like a fully sanded and stained piece.
It's the same technique. It's exactly the same stain. It's just because it's a wood type. This is pochote,
Okay.
part that doesn't have all these lines, so it looks more plain, which I love to use a lot with colors. And here you see when I use a color, yeah. So here you see when I take a darker wood piece and a lighter wood piece and all the same stain.
Okay, I see. I think it's so important that we get to see that natural grain of the wood. It just gives it a lot more interest and texture, and it reflects the light beautifully.
Yes, exactly. And when I have these transparent pieces, it's actually because I use all my leftover wood, so you can see all types of woods. But then I use that same stain, so it all connects somehow.
Beautiful.
This is yeah. Then I also use regular paint. I just buy in the ferreteria.
Mm-hmm.
I put the varnish, and then I also use, when I really want to make more detailed pieces, I make my own colors with acrylics. This is more when it's an art piece, another whole wall. And then sometimes I have to use the spray can for all the stains, and then we have to prepare the woods, all the colors, to be able to be sprayed. So this is all three type of paints and stains that I use for my art, basically.
I want to pause for 1 second and say welcome to everyone who has joined new. And just so you know, at 1 hour, in about 9 minutes, Instagram usually cuts off these things at 1 hour. So we'll just pop right back on, and please stick around, because in a moment we are going to actually take a walk outside and look at the landscape where the workshop is located, which is really stunning. And we're going to see sort of the site where Johanna first got her inspiration to start these really complex drawings. So I think it's a really special place. And we're going to talk a little bit about motherhood and some other issues. Is there anything else in the studio that we should look at that is important to what you're working on?
I think I have shown mostly everything I work on now. We have seen the machines. Here I just had a little bit more of the textures I use, also the papers, the prints, all of those, and these are the crystals. But
And you've started using crystals, like not only as inspiration in your healing practice and your energy work and in your paintings, but also physically putting them into, like putting them into wall panels. Is that right?
Yeah. The first time I used the crystals, that was in my very first commission piece in when I had to go to Mexico, and it was in Texas, in El Paso, and I wasn't able to use real crystals because it was my first panel. So I thought I want to have the crystal energy on all the pieces because that client was really into crystals. So I had crystal dust.
Okay.
Put it in all my paints.
Amazing.
So that was my very, very first installation I did. And now of that last art piece, they really wanted to have crystals as lights fixtures. So I created, that's why I also needed the plans where the electricity goes and where I would install the crystals. And that was the first time I really put a physical crystal in my art.
Craig Krell asked, have you made tall freestanding totems?
Yeah, so the first totem I made was when I met you, but it was still hanging from floor to bottom, connected. And after that, I said, I really want to start making my totems. And it's more like a process. I haven't made the totem yet, but I'm still going from three-dimensional, coming more out. And I think this season, I really want to have my totems. It's like I haven't been able to make them yet because I wasn't ready yet, or I wasn't there yet. I still had other things to create.
But I love, what was that piece that I first saw, that totem that I was, what was that called?
That was Manifest.
Okay. That was a beautiful piece. I look forward to seeing more like that because it really is, invites sort of an exploration of the work and the wood. And really, for me, it was a really interesting way of experiencing the work. And I had a relationship to it with my body. Got to see all different sides.
Yes, for me also, and because that was more from for an exposition. And always when I see my work in exposition, I would think I want to make pieces you can connect inside or walk around.
Mm-hmm.
For that exposition, I made that piece in 2 weeks not sleeping because I really wanted to have my first totem. And that's why I started also to have the transparent pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not a totem, so I'm gonna get there, and I think it will be this year.
And sanding is a big part of your work. And I know like you take a lot of work home with you. You take all of these cuts with you and you might put them in your truck and take them to your home and do the sanding there because you do have two kids
Yeah.
and you're raising children while you're doing all of this. I'm curious how you've been able to manage that, and it seems like it hasn't stopped you from really pouring yourself into your creative passions, which I think some women really need to hear about.
Yeah, I think my my first child was like my drive. Like he would not hold me back. It was more the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me like more purpose, and I wanted to make everything more happening. So what happened? My workshop became it's already big, but it's limited because you deal with spraying and sanding and all the mixtures together. Sometimes you cannot paint when you're still sanding and it's raining, so it holds me back of my timelines.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to make boxes with the pieces. I load them in my truck, and then I created like a sand station in my house where I can sand with somebody else, of course, not all alone because that's too much, where we can sand all the pieces at home, because then I can keep working on the process of putting them in cutting, and then also paint them after. So it's been a lot, but that's why I had to give up some things in that. Like I had to make a decision. Like I said, I have to stop with doing my treatments and only focusing on my art and trusts. And just sometimes it's not easy, and you become like, oh, I have to invest, and this machine's break, and I'm just working for making something that I know in the future it's growing, and but it's working for now. Sometimes it's stressful, and sometimes I'm really like, I can take a step back and enjoy. Like now, this is like a moment I'm like, oh, okay, I made it somehow. I'm already here. Okay, so we are somewhere, because sometimes I have no time, and I'm just always in this. I never have time to do things, and I'm always in a rush. But now I also put like some Sunday and Saturdays for my family, and then work a full week, and then I'm working towards the moment I have like my family time. And but they also all around me. I may take my baby here, and she will walk outside, and everything mixes up.
How old is your youngest daughter?
My daughter,
Your
it will be 8 months and a week,
and
and
did you take off when you had her, or have you been creating
so
the whole time?
that was very challenging because I had all these pieces already, scheduled,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't really take a break. But for me, that was a very good moment to step back and say, okay, I have to let go of me being physically doing all the sanding and be there on that process. And then I created my drawings and all the AutoCAD drawings.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like 3 weeks when I was pregnant. I was making endless of drawings with all instructions to do the preparations, and so I didn't really have a break. But I will have it Christmas. But also it's also was nice because it was also for myself a growing process. So I was also happy to be able to work, and I was also very grateful that everything could continue.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have like a break that because I was not able to make any more my work. So I could my help. I have like two carpenters that work in my studio. They could keep working, and they understood more and more my drawings. Everything became less stressful because I took more time of explaining and taking the time of making it like a very layout of instructions and the guiding. So it's less all over the place. So everything is more like following my instructions, which is good because otherwise it's a big mess.
So you found people in the artisans in the community who you could work with, and
Yeah,
and like there was a period of where you had to learn how to communicate,
yeah,
how to create your
yeah,
pieces so that they
yeah.
would come out the way you envisioned them and the way you drew them. And is it who are these people, and are they family, or can you just tell us a little bit about who works with you?
Yeah. So the people that work for me is a family from San Jose. And because I'm also doing interior design, I had to do an installation and make furnitures and all the other things. And I met this person, Jose, and his son. And he just came here to do the installation of the house, and he saw my art. And I just signed up for the workshop, but I didn't have people yet to work. I thought it would be for me to paint and do retouches. And then at the same time, I had some commissions coming in already, and he was still working on that house. So they were coming on and off to my workshop. And then they said, but yeah, we don't live here. We cannot really make that happen because it's also expensive. We really want to be here, but to work and rent a house and living. So I said, you know, I'm going to change my workshop in 2 homes.
Okay.
And the workshop inside and a kitchen. So they also had a place to stay. They didn't have to pay me. And like this, I could have them help me and grow to create like the process of all the pieces.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. But it also took time because they have to understand that it's not just furniture what they used to do, and that it's really art. And that took me like 2 years on and off of like struggling and not, and they don't understand me. And now we just understand each other like very fast. And I just have to, yeah, so that works really well. They had to be like on my same vibration, and now we are all aligned, which is very magical sometimes when you deliver a piece and it's like, wow, this really happens. And then we of course need some extra people, and it's like way too much of standing and cleaning up the workshop. You can't keep track, so then we have some extra workers that I come in and out.
Hi to new people who have joined us. We just kind of did a workshop tour with Johanna, and we may get cut off by Instagram, but we'll jump right back on if that happens. But so far, so good. And now I think we're going to go outside and look at what an incredible environment is around the workshop. This is one of my favorite parts of visiting studios virtually in Costa Rica for people who have never been there, or for artists. And oh yeah, give us one last view.
I thought I can do one more for people that just came in.
This is my favorite part, so people in LA or elsewhere can see how Costa Rican artists, or in this case, a Belgian artist working in Costa Rica and making it her home for many, many years, can use the environment to create these incredible studio spaces and live off of their work. And it's such a pleasure to see so much beauty, natural beauty around Johanna's workshop in this site where she's really built this space for herself from the ground up. Hola, Victor.
So I'm gonna walk outside. I'm gonna switch the internet to my phone, so it's gonna be like a little bit of a moment that I change.
Okay.
From the phone to my own.
Okay.
Should I start walking and show around outside, or
just a little view of where this workshop is sitting and what the environment around it is like, and you can also tell us what was here when you arrived.
Yes. So the beach is basically here when you go up. When I arrived, it was only that little house, which is like 3 meters on 3 meters, and then I just created this whole extension. I have to put all my wood outside because there's not enough space inside anymore. And these are workstations to spray. Yeah, there you see it's better. I think I'm going to switch over to my own.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So when I came here, I think my son is 10 years. I used to live here across the street. Okay. And I used to walk here, and there was like a guy making surfboards. Mm-hmm. and there was a shaping boards. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, imagine one day I will be here and I have like an art studio, but I wasn't working with wood yet at that time. I was just painting in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And then many years later, I came back and I saw back this house and there was nothing, and I could rent it.
Okay.
And how, yeah, I had like a vision, and 10 years later, I didn't know I would ever work with wood. Yeah, and then I built it up my own, exactly how I thought.
Flip the camera around so we can talk to you a little bit. When was it that you realized you could work with wood and leave the canvas and start sculpting wood?
So I had done, let's say now my son is on like 8 years ago, I was working for a project where I was interior designer. And they also had a workshop, and I could work with a lot of wood. And there I had the first feeling of creating from a workshop. And then I went back home after that, and somebody asked me, can you paint a door? And I was like, yeah, but maybe I can make a door and wood pieces. And somehow I had like an idea, but I never did it before. So they let me make a 3-meter high door, which I never did before. So the pieces were all over the place, but on the end it was like a very stunning piece door that remind me also like an Egyptian door. And I was really inspired before already of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of making something very in big scale, and the wood allowed me to do that instead of painting. And I thought I could put energy in the wood. It felt like I could touch it, and the sanding and the whole process reminded me how I like to touch and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that process in this medium.
I love that. I also love how your first encounter with working with wood came through designing a doorway, because as a healer, someone who's interested in manifestation, doorways and portals are really significant. And then subsequently your big panels, like the labyrinth and the abundance panels that you started with, are sort of like visual doorways or
Yes.
invitations to enter a new space.
Yes. So after this door, I realized I was already like introduced with portals and spiritual portals and spiritual experiences. So I thought like, oh, I want to make my portals for myself, and maybe later people ask me for portals. Um, so and that happens. So I created this 4 pieces for my beginning portals, actually, to open up my own creative energy. And each panel was a whole different intention.
I love that you literally created your path forward as an artist by creating the works themselves that would open the doorway for you to kind of step inside and really fulfill your creative desires. For me, it's a beautiful story that I hope people pay attention to and understand that it is possible to do that, because I've said it before, but you did this on your own while raising a son on your own in a country that was not where you were born and where you had to create community on your own. And you did it step by step. And it sounds like a big challenge, but it's evolving in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, it was step by step. Also, the father was like not part-time, but like we had like a time frame. And when I would come to this dad, I was like full on giving myself all the way. And then I got my baby back, and I was like, oh, okay, now I need to charge again. So it was challenging in the beginning because I would go all the way. But then it's all about balancing and finding a way of, yeah, it's always not to go extreme, but find a way, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like when I did my treatments, I was very trained in consistency of many years. So I thought I have to create the same rhythm when I work on my healings, to do the same with my art. So it's a consistency of creating. And yeah, and that worked out, but it was also a challenge to find structures and how to deal with all orders and also the paperwork and everything, and also dealing with people that work for me. And I had to pay the end of the month a rent for the gallery and a workshop and in my own house. So there was not so much left, but at the end I was also very happy. It was for my future. So that's how I keep going.
And you, not only do you maintain this workshop, but you have a showroom and a gallery also?
Yes, so my gallery showroom I had since now I think 8 years. That was always been my place where I do healings, and my gallery where people could see my art. So when I stopped doing the healings, I kept my showroom, and it became more like a meeting room where I meet the clients. My eyes are like from the sun.
Show us, show everyone where we've walked and talk about this place and its meaning to you and your work.
Yes, so now we are on the place where I, for the first time, find my workshop, where I was inspired, and I used to make my drawings here. And then little by little, my workshop wasn't ready. I had to find a place here underneath a little rancho where I could use to put my first pieces together until my workshop would be ready. So I'm going to turn the camera.
What beach is this?
This is Mar Azul.
Okay.
This is a beach in Malpais. This is where the table where I used to work, make my drawings. And it's actually a camping.
Okay.
And that's the guy where I rent my workshop from. And then it's a very magical beach.
Yeah.
Not so many people come here. And it's across the street of my workshop.
It's amazing. And so you would come down to this table. You didn't have this big space to work in, but you would do drawings and like conceptual drawings and things like that here in this place.
Yes, because I find it so special. And also there were not so many tourists here.
Mm-hmm.
And also the tables were here already, so I could just sit down, and the sunset was very calm. And I was making here, there used to be a little rancho.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put my pieces there. It was very beach life in the beginning, like I have an idea and it will go somewhere, but I felt like I'm working on the beach basically. It reminded me like I'm making surfboards, but I was making art. But then later on I also put my pieces when they are ready. I have many pictures in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the beach where I put them back when I finish them, and then I find the spots where I place them, and then I do like a little photo shoot.
Right.
They become like sculptures in the nature.
Right. If you look at Johanna's Instagram, which is absolutely gorgeous, you will see that she presents her finished pieces here in this landscape via different photographers who work with her, and it's like a full circle moment, because the drawings may have started here at that table that you just saw, and the place, certainly having the workshop here, has inspired the work, and then it ends up, before it goes into a home or a collector's home, it comes here and is documented.
Yeah.
How oh wait, Craig asked, what direction is the main beach of Santa Teresa from where you are, right?
Yeah, the main beach is actually to the left. So I'm here more on south, where it's like Malpais, and
Okay.
then the Fisher town. And then you have the center is like 5 minutes from here, where you have Playa Carmen, and then you go to Hermosa, is on the other side.
And do people just randomly walk by your workshop and find you that way, or how do most people end up working with you?
So on my workshop, there's not so many people passing, because I'm a little bit like, you have to know the place to pass this beach. The mostly people find me through in my studio, in my gallery, or they may have seen my work around, or be in and see and look me up on Instagram and find me and make an appointment. This is the most what happens. They see my art and they look me up and they want to see my art in my studio.
It's
I
amazing.
haven't been able to take really the clients as much to my workshop because it's such a workspace. And also it's like it's not the place yet that I go with people, because it's like I have no place to sit and it's like just rough place of cutting wood. But if they really want, I do it like on a Sunday or a Saturday when it's more calm.
I'm always struck by how the trees there obviously affect and end up in your work. So it's very locally inspired work. Is there anything else about living in Santa Teresa for so long and making this your home that you think has affected your work in general and that we can see in your work, or just the way you work?
I think I'm very learn how to flow in here, because sometimes there can be storms and also the energy can be very challenging. Not even the weather, but also it's a very strong place spiritually. Also, people come here and you see your own challenging. So my work involves a lot, like change. There's a lot of change in my work, but I also change all the time because it's like a fast changing place. You have to deal with many things. You always invent yourself. There can be a storm, a mud, there can be no more electricity, there can be no more, and then you have to always reinvent. So it's maybe part of my nature always to keep inventing and reinventing. And that's why I think you see like a whole transformation going from drawings to my paintings, and it's like the more I understand that nothing can let me down, I keep going. Like last week there was many challenges weather-wise. I have to talk with the clients that I couldn't make my timelines, and then there was no more electricity, my car broke down. So all this, you have to find solutions or better solutions. And I think you can see that in my art, especially in the intensity of how I change my shapes. Or also, it's always moving and it's always changing. You won't see the same piece a month ago.
And it's like a puzzle. And I've noticed that, like I said earlier, it started very much based in the square and the rectangle, and it's evolved into these beautiful curves and more sensual lines and a lot of more layering. It just seems like it's getting more complex, and it's interesting that it starts off with a simple piece of graph paper and squares, because you're in this tropical environment where you have waves and trees and greenery, but you're really using the fundamentals of geometry in your work.
Yes, but also I find the geometric lines, but then also it became very organic, which is more also the water and the waves and the storm. Like after like when I gave birth to my baby, my recent baby, people tell me, "Oh, you have a new style," and I said, "No, I just became more." It's actually maybe more feminine. I'm more like I stepped out of my masculine more, and I'm more like into my own feminine part, being a mother, but also be able to work, but not from like this surviving, but more like more centered. So that's why these round shapes could come in, and I could be more sitting down and make it more even complex, but grounded in a way. And before I couldn't go too complex because everything around me was still, I had to survive. And I stepped more out of the surviving, and this you can see in a change in all my new works that are coming.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you start sketching the curves when you were pregnant with your daughter?
Yes, that's when it all started. Yeah. Not about
I love.
the curves, but I think I was way more. I find it more disciplined because I couldn't do all the work I did before, like physically, which I was still doing a lot, but it just made me sit down and work it out from my table. And I enjoyed it a lot because I could way more do what I loved more in the sketching and go deeper into my work instead of making the work the physically.
That's amazing. I think we'll wrap up soon, but I wanted to mention the artist Emma Kuntz, who reminds me of you a lot. She was a healer in Switzerland from like the very early 20th century, like the early 1900s. And if people are interested, you can look her up. She was one of the most important healers of the 20th century and was known for being able to do prophecy and healing people's physical ailments. And during her career, she started using these giant pieces of graph paper and coloring really incredible geometric patterns. And she also talked about that they weren't works of art necessarily, that they were instruments to heal her patients. So if they meditated on the work and lived with the work, that maybe their ailment or their emotional distress would be healed through that artwork. And what I see coming out of your studio reminds me a lot of that work.
Yeah, people have told me, and I also feel this way because I really wanted to have a purpose with my work from the healing because I stopped the healing and I really wanted to have like an impact with my piece, not only in space but also to that it connects to the soul of the person, or if it's my piece, but it can be related. So yeah, I also find it very relating, and I truly believe and work that can represent healing.
If if anyone has a question before we say goodbye to Johanna, feel free to type it in. But I think this has been a really, really inspiring tour. I just love what you have going on there. I hope to visit it in person.
Yes, always welcome.
Thank you.
And
What do
thank
you, besides your current commission, what else do you have coming up before we say goodbye?
Yes, I have some other small commission pieces I have to finish. I'm also creating some new art pieces, but I also especially I'm taking a break for the first time for the Christmas for 2 weeks. So that's very new. I never have like taken a break. Like I'm not gonna do anything for 2 weeks. So I'm basically more focused now on have everything done and make some new art pieces before I close for 2 weeks. And then later on, I have some requests that I have to put for maybe some future work for a museum or gallery. So I'm putting this more in my mind. It's working, but not really physically.
Fantastic. Thank you for everyone who is signing off and saying goodbye. And that's a great reminder that even great artists need time to rest and recreate and come up with their next ideas.
Yes, which is, I'm never really done, so it's very new. But it's important to recharge.
Thank you. Someone says beautiful art. Oh, we have a question. Can you tell us a bit more about your relation to the natural elements, such as horizon, the sun, the sea, or the gods of the sea, or any ideas about pirates?
It's funny because I didn't mention it, but this place where I am, I really call it the goddesses of the goddesses beach, because I really felt when I just started my workshop that I had to ask them for permission. I felt like so many things happening in the workshop, and I felt it needed a lot of cleaning energy of it, and I also needed to ask permission of this, especially this beach where I felt a strong energy of goddesses. So I was really working on that, and each piece was again representing it. So I had a whole goddesses series which actually was related on this. And then these goddesses were like I had like commissions like for years of goddesses, but I was like all in a transition when I was making this workshop. So ever since there's the goddess came in, that was my inspiration to help me and to support and spread it around. And then there's so many elements that I'm being inspired for, like also astrology wise. Every day there's like some interesting energies that can be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
But especially I think this whole place where I live is kind of a vortex energy, so
Okay.
this a lot, and this reflects a lot in my work, and especially when I feel goddesses or like all this kind of energies. It always represents in my work, in my drawings. I write it down in my drawings also, what was at the moment going on around me.
Yeah, I noticed on your beautiful graph
Yeah.
drawings, which I would like to see more of those. They're really, there's something really special about that moment of conceptualization when you're first putting whatever it is that you're receiving onto paper. But I noticed you take a lot of beautiful handwritten notes.
So mostly I handwritten them because it's like an internal process. And when I feel like, whoa, that was like a lot going on, but then I write it down because I also feel it's not by a coincidence I'm making that kind of art with my experience internal. So when I was installing, for example, that big art piece that I showed, all the drawings, the installation of it was very complex and so many emotions. And then I looked up and there was like we were in the center of the Maya calendar and a lot going on. And in that moment, of course, I had to install that art, and there were so many challenges like I had to deal with. I'm not giving up, and keep going. And so, and all the notes were there, so it's sometimes it's just meant to be when I make an art piece, or or it goes to the person that needed that energy.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we answered that question because we didn't talk about the goddesses
No,
before, and that's important too.
that's why I have so many goddesses. I said, okay, now I'm gonna stop with the goddess, and then oh no, I still need them. So it becomes like another series of goddesses.
Well, thank you everyone who's joined. Thank you, Johanna, for your time in preparing for this. I know it was a lot of work, and yeah, we wish you well.